We'll open our meeting, for our special meeting we call it, because we are a week later than normal, for the Pownal Board of Directors meeting for April 26th. And first on our agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I see Mr. Sherman's not here yet, so we'll just move on. Any public comments? Please, one at a time. None. Okay, let's move right along to the action items. Our financial report, the treasurer's report for March. Is there any discussion on that? Okay, could we have a motion to accept it? Motion's been made.
Or John moved, you want a second?
Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. It's unanimous. All right, the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, not hearing any. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. It's unanimous. Okay, we have no policies.
Could I just say something about the policies?
Sure.
I think eventually you're going to get a policy back, let's see. For a change, the computer network is just going to have an FYI. We're not going to have to vote on that again. And then at some point, we're going to look at 5411 comprehensive HIV and bloodborne pathogens, because that one's really outdated.
Okay.
And then I think maybe they're going to work on transportation at some point, transportation policy. Maybe at the next meeting or the meeting after that. I might not be at the next meeting. I may have a conflict, but.
Can you give us a little clue as to what's in reference to transportation?
I don't know, they were looking at it a couple months prior, so, and it hasn't come back around yet, so I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
I just think it changed. I think it changed because, I don't know.
We don't, because we aren't using our buses?
Right,
Well, in essence, part of that we're doing field trips.
right, I did mention that. But we didn't discuss it other than the
Okay.
transportation might come up at the next meeting.
Okay. Not a problem, thank you. Alrighty. Facility update?
I don't think we have anything at this point, but we'll bring Kevin in next meeting for the May meeting to talk about the summer projects and that
Okay.
like we do annually, so that'll be for next month.
And I had asked him to get us, start looking into a price quote for the
Yeah,
heater,
yep, heating system.
heating system, yeah.
He did tell me, remember they replaced 2 of the water tanks and the third one, now the third one is leaking, so they had to bypass that, and did he contact you on that?
Yes, yeah, he did
Okay.
call me and he told me that they replaced it, I think.
Okay, I didn't think it was replaced yet, I think it was just bypassed until they could replace it, but we'll have them next month.
Yeah, okay, yeah, because that was a week or so ago and I forgot. But I know he's got it under control.
Yeah, he does.
He had mentioned there were some issues with the generator. Had that been resolved?
It has not at this point. And I
What-
don't know where we're at with that.
Okay, maybe we'll put that down for next month too.
Yeah, he'll be back on Monday.
Because he
so
did
we
say
can-
that he called Joel to come in and look at it,
Mhm,
and that he had been putting oil into it.
mhm.
Because I had said to him, we share that with the town, so
Right.
any expense.
And
to get
apparently a
touch it.
rodent or something chewed through
An oil
Oh,
line?
right, yes, that's
Yeah.
what it was,
and therefore used all the oil and burned up the
the motor.
motor.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, because he said the company came down and replaced a part, and then in replacing the part, they discovered the
Right.
cute little rodent had made it home or something. So, well, kept it warm for the winter.
Very expensive rodent.
Yes.
Issue there.
Okay, Act 46 update.
So, yeah. So it's on, as a question under my report, do you have a community member?
I have somebody that would be interested, yes.
Okay, all right. So on our website is the application to fill out, just like last time, so you could direct them to the SVSU website and then once they fill out that application, then this board can appoint a community member to be on that
Well,
board.
actually, our community member works in your
Okay,
building.
all right, so
And I think
that's
she's
happened
still
with other boards.
interested.
From the last time this committee was formed, some of the other same community members want to be there, but just, so if she's already indicated, I don't think she needs to do the application, you can just vote
Yeah,
to
I
do
think
that.
it was a possibility. I'll call and ask her
All right.
again, because if she doesn't, Jim O'Connor said that, don't call him unless I absolutely have to, but he'd be on the sidelines.
All right, and North Bennington last night still voted not to join the committee. Their concerns are the governance structure. We just don't have to go into too much detail. Remember when the committee disbanded, the study committee disbanded, exploratory committee disbanded, they made the recommendation to recommend to the SVSU that they form the formal committee, and with these stipulations, that all communities were advisable, because there's two ways to designate it,
Okay.
advisable and necessary. Advisable gives you a little bit of leeway that you can decide you don't like what got put together, and we're not going to schedule a vote for it. If you're necessary for that, you need to schedule a vote. And the other stipulation that the exploratory committee wanted when they disbanded was that the form of governance that they were going to look at was the modified union school district with a hybrid model of governance, which is how Mount Anthony is right now. So not proportional, which is very important to Pownal and,
Yes,
you know,
yes.
Shaftesbury, Woodford, North Bennington. So when I went to Steve Stitzel, the SVSU attorney, to draft the motion, he instructed us that he felt, his opinion is we could not put those limitations on the motion because under statute, it is the Act 46 Study Committee's role to decide who's advisory, who is necessary, and what type of form of governance. So you can't put those restrictions on. So if I took anything out of the meeting in North Bennington last night, it would be that they will join at some point, but if this committee forms, and it is formed, but if they
Yeah, it
meet
will.
and some of their first acts are to agree on those two things, then they will certainly consider joining. And Steve Stitzel did what they can join at any time. If they never join, that's what I don't know the answer, because they're part of Mount Anthony. I would think that'd be very difficult for us to get anything accomplished if they don't join. Yeah.
See, John has very nicely accepted the fact that he's going to be on Act 46. And what I had told John, you weren't here, Angie, last meeting, and I just wanted John to know how the board felt about Act 46, because he's going to be representing us up there. And I guess if one of you want to tell your opinion about it, so I don't have to keep talking, what is your thoughts on Act 46? What we've always been talking about?
Well, I'm actually really confused about Act 46 at this point, because you had a clear law in place, right, that said we had to convert to one supervisory union and no more districts. And now it seems to be you don't have to do that anymore, right? The legislative updates that I see come out saying that you can do an alternate structure, or that you can submit a proposal and the Secretary of State. I'm just stop talking.
My understanding, none of that is actually passed yet. There's all kinds of proposals.
So,
We'll
okay.
see. I mean, the legislative session is going to end soon, but what you're referring to, the
It ended
preferred
before it-
model,
It ended before it started. They don't do a damn thing up there.
that well may be, but
They
they,
don't.
the preferred model is, as you say, that, you know, they're one unified district, at least 900 students, at least amount of boards as possible. So I do also think that that might be part of, you know, North Bennington's waiting to see if anything changes in the legislative session. You know, I've been following what's going on in Vernon. It's kind of opposite of the North Bennington issue. They want out of the high school, they want to be a non-operating 7 through 12, where North Bennington's non-operating pre-K through 6. So there is one of the bills that's there is to allow them a one-time release from being in a union school district without a vote by everybody else, all the other districts. And it has a sunset clause of when that would expire by if that does happen. The stipulation on that is, one of the stipulations to meet that qualification is you have to be operating an elementary school for that provision to be there. But as we were told when we went to the legislative breakfast a few weeks ago, it hasn't gone through both the House and Senate yet, and it hasn't been final voted on, and something could change in that, and they could take that provision away, which would mean if that passed, North Bennington could leave Mount Anthony by their own vote and not need the vote from everywhere else, which those protections have been in place for years because it could affect the financial health of everyone else. And North Bennington has about 106, 112 full-time equivalent students between the middle school and high school. So it's not a small, not an
it's a
insignificant
good
number.
size.
Yeah.
I have never seen a bill, John, so convoluted in my whole life. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
It's Vermont.
Well, that's true.
They don't do anything straightforward. They got people up there that are stupid, and they're writing laws.
I guess I think this is how the board feels, that we just don't want to get down to one board member. We're
Right.
definitely against that.
And I don't want to
It's-
pay for anybody else's stuff. And I don't want to pay for things that other districts have let go,
Yeah, that's
okay?
true.
Because we don't let
That's-
things go, we
we
take care of it.
it. Yes, we do.
Everybody else
We do.
lets it go so they can get a budget passed.
Yeah.
And they're going to expect Pownal and everybody else to pay for it? Not in my lifetime.
Well, that's some of the other things that need to be worked out also. But I guess the main thing is that we don't want to lose. Vermont, to me, when people move in here, their small schools are important to them because they're a small community school. If you go to one board, it's all of a sudden going to be such a strange situation, and trust me, we're not going to save a penny. That's
They're
already
going to
been.
spend more money.
that-
Pownal will spend more money than they spend now.
Yeah, we're not gonna save anything, so, I mean, I just wanted you to know, John, I guess I didn't have to because you're gonna represent us quite nicely. But you can't choke anybody, that's against the
I'll
law.
just speak my mind, that's all. And if they can't handle it, then they can fire me. I don't care.
What, and lose all that money? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay, so, enough for Act 46, that's gonna be coming up soon.
We hope
Yes,
that, we're looking at dates, possible date, with both negotiations going on and board meetings.
Yeah.
It's tough to find at night, but
It
we
is,
want
it
to
is.
have our first meeting within the next 2 weeks, so.
That's good. Okay, now we're to the superintendent's report.
Cindy, can I ask one question of
Sure.
Jim before we move on?
Yeah.
And it's not Act 46, it's about a legislative update that I think I saw today, talking about money for teachers' retirement, going and changing the way taxes are.
Yeah, we'd be very against that.
Oh, I hope
Did
so.
it didn't
Switching
pass?
it-
Because when I read it, like, a part of it passed, maybe? or-
I haven't seen a legislative, the one that I got said, contact your legislators to, because the Vermont Superintendent's Association and School Board Association is very against shifting the retirement burden from the general fund to the ed fund, because the ed fund is funded by property
Right,
taxes.
right.
So,
Be a bad move.
and it's, the argument being that the covenant or agreement for that retirement fund was with the state, not with local, school districts, and it really should be more of a state obligation. So
I agree.
I hope that later this I haven't seen anything this afternoon, I hope that it hadn't passed, because that will have an impact on property
Major
taxes, which
impact.
is something that they're supposed to be addressing to go the other way,
Yeah.
so,
Yes.
yeah.
Want to grab that and sign it. Okay, we'll leave this up, it's up to you, sir.
Yeah. I was going to talk to you about Act 46 and your community member. We already did that. The other thing is just all boards did vote now to alter the last day of school. I know that you already did, but MAU did last week, so now it will happen. The last day of school for students in Pownal will be Tuesday, June 20th. And the last day of school for all staff all school year staff members in Pownal will be Friday, the 23rd of June, which is how many days that you pay them for. And we had our first planning meeting yesterday with all principals and directors for what professional learning is going to take place on those 3 days. And just, as I've said to all boards when I asked to alter the end of the year schedule, that there will be rigor and relevance to what the training and learning is going on those 3 days for staff. It's a good opportunity, but the only other thing that's different is you'll hear that the last day for Bennington students is the Friday before, because Monday and Tuesday of which would be the
19th and 20th?
Yeah, 19th and 20th are their days because of the massive construction project that's going on in the Bennington elementary schools. All classrooms basically need to be emptied out and packed up, so that's what will be going on in those 2 days. So if you hear any confusion, it's, there are staggered dates, but for everybody here in Pownal, all students are done Tuesday, June 20th.
And Jim, at our March meeting, I don't think that was brought to our board's attention. That was, I think this is the first time that.
Yeah, I
Oh, really?
voted.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Then you weren't then it
Yeah,
wasn't
I
last
voted.
board. So then I guess I would ask this board, was I not at the March meeting? Did Donna come to the March meeting?
Donna did.
Okay. So I'm asking that you would allow the last day of school for Pownal students to be June 20th. Because why I'm asking you, the superintendent by statute sets the calendar, but the amount of days that students are in, the board sets that part of it. So there'll be 177 days in school, which is 2 days more than the required
Required, yeah.
amount of days in the state of Vermont, but 3 days less than what we originally planned. So.
Second.
Okay. Any
Thank you,
discussion?
Tom.
Yep.
Hearing none, all those in favor? It's unanimous. You got it.
Thank you.
Moving on to me.
Yes.
So I have a lot of thank yous. First of all, Kathy Brooks and Clary DeRosia with our school play. The students presented Willy Wonka Jr. They did a fabulous job. This was the first year in, I think, at least 15 years that Old Castle couldn't be a part of helping out our students.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell. They did an amazing job. I don't know if anyone was able
I
to
did.
attend,
I
but
came the second night.
yep,
I was blown away.
yep.
I didn't tell Nelson what he was going to watch, but I dragged him.
But I want to say congratulations to the students and
They did
Kathy
a
and Clary.
wonderful job.
Yep. And we had other staff members that helped as well. Career Week in the SVSU was the first week of April, and we moved ours to the second week of April so we can get more volunteers here. Some of the other schools kind of scooped up some of the volunteers for Career Week, and I think you were one of them at one of the other schools, Jim.
Or was it Molly Stark? Yes.
So I do want to thank quite a few people. Tom Pasternak, the counselor from the CDC, contacted us and worked with our counselor, Brian Kuhn, and students from the CDC, the building trades. The kids had a lot of fun out there with the saws, and they were
Nice.
just woodworking, and it was fun for the kids. Ryan Scott with Cat TV came here as well. Anthony Carlino, general manager of Bennington Friendlies. Robin Bates, a local dog trainer, was here. Kids really enjoyed that. Jeff Miller with the Pownal Valley Fire Department and his staff. Joel Burrington and staff from the Pownal Highway Department was here to talk with the kids. Sergeant Jamie Wright and the K-9 dog Harley from the Vermont State Troopers. Crystal Odell and staff from the Pownal Rescue. College students from Williams College rugby team and college students from Southern Vermont. Cross-country and soccer teams were mingling with the kids, kind of like that mentorship at lunchtime. So the kids really had a good time. And Tammy, I have a list here for you. I can pass it down.
Thank you. Oh, I love that.
So thank you to everyone for helping with Career Week. The kids had a really good time.
That's great.
The only other thing I have is we're getting ready to start SBAC testing next week with our 3rd through 6th grade students, and we start one grade level of it at a time, so we don't have everyone testing at once. So we'll be testing ELA and math here next week. I think
Perfect.
that's it. pass that down to
Alrighty,
Tammy.
sure, that's very nice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I attended that play, and I was just blown away at
Yeah.
the talent, the children, the lines that they had to, and nobody goofed up. I mean, it was just,
Couldn't tell.
there was a baby sitting behind me, and the music was playing. When the music stopped, the baby would cry. And then when they started singing again, the baby was, and singing. Oh, my God.
I mean,
But
when I was
they did
a
great
principal
job.
at an arts magnet school and we had productions like this is, I mean, it gives me chills when I see the kids performing like this, like at a magnet school where, you know, that's what the kids do. It's an art school, and kids really performed really well, and I want to, you know, congratulate them.
Absolutely. We tell them the board was very impressed with
Yep,
them.
we will.
And Mary Natalicia came back and
Yeah.
did all the
Aw.
backdrop.
That's
It
why I
was
said there were other
beautiful. I mean, it was
definitely other
very
staff
dedicated.
members that
Yeah,
helped.
it's
Linda
very
Bush helped with
dedicated.
the lighting, and Maggie Phelps and Kathy Greenwald helped with the stage. There's just so much,
Yeah, there was a lot of people involved.
a lot of help.
Well, unfortunately, this year, usually as board chair, one of the fun jobs, outside of being at the meetings, is handing out the diplomas to the sixth graders. But unfortunately, I'm going to be out of town and won't be back until the 20th. So, if one of you lovely board members would like to,
Oh, Jimmy.
It'll be the evening of the 19th.
19th, yes.
Um,
So
6 o'clock.
think about it and just get back to Todd, because they want to put your name in the flyer as to, and you don't have to say a word. They never let me talk.
They can't even see you, Cindy, but the kids are taller than you are.
This is so different than the monthly board meeting.
Yeah, I know. Some of these kids, you hand me the diplomas, and I'm like, you know. But it is kind of a fun thing to do, so
It's
if
a nice
any one of
night,
you, it is, it's a
That's a
great
Monday
thing.
night.
It is.
Yeah, it'll be a Monday night, the 19th. The other thing I wanted, I don't know if the board has been aware, but they're trying to take, in between the ESP and the teacher negotiation, they're both ongoing, we're both at the same thing, wages and health insurance. The biggie is the health insurance. The best thing that we heard this week is they're trying to decide whether they want to bring the health insurance under the state. And I think that's a wonderful thing. It would actually take pressure off of the board members, and maybe we could concentrate on something else, like the children, for instance. Making, sure, maybe coming up with something that we can do to help the children and not have to spend so much time on health insurance.
It would remove it from negotiations.
Yes, that would be wonderful. So that's an ongoing thing. The state is still talking about it. The other thing I wanted to ask, I read in the paper that Molly Stark got a grant for, okay, I knew I was going to forget this. It's for, all the kids get free books and whatnot. This is the second year in a row that they got that grant. And I was just wondering why maybe we should go after grants for,
Yep.
I don't know.
Look into more of that.
Yeah, that would be great.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm happy for Molly Stark, but I would be happier for Pownal.
Yeah, but does it have anything to do with income or anything like that?
Well-
A lot of the applications do, but I mean, I think
Well, we
we're
qualify.
in that category as
Yeah.
well, so.
Yes, definitely. Next month, we're going back to our regular third week.
17th, is that?
No. It's April. Is it the 17th? June, well.
17th, yeah.
June, it's the 21st.
May.
Oh, okay, I'm rushing it. May 17th, you're right, I'm sorry. So it'll be at 5:30. If Mr. Sherman contacts you again,
Yep,
feel free to invite him to that one.
I will.
I just want to tell the board a little bit of what Mr. Sherman is looking for. I think he's the head of the Little League.
Yeah, he is. He's the Pownal Youth Baseball League president.
President or something, and for years, they've been using the land down in North Pownal, and the school owns it because years ago, there was a North Pownal school, and they tore the school down, and now we have the land. We don't use it, and I'm looking at the same thing that happened with the senior center on North Pownal Road. We gave that to the seniors. my thought was, and this is just food for thought, I think maybe we should offer that to him.
Did you research the deed? Can you do it?
I'm
You
sure.
gotta, well, don't be sure.
No, I haven't.
You
I
gotta read the
have
deed
not.
and you gotta find out whether or not legally you can do
You
it.
can do it, right?
Because
I
if you
mean-
can't, then there's no sense of talking about it.
Right.
The land could have been donated with restrictions on it that can only
Right.
be used for like educational or, yeah.
Or it can only be
I
used
know
by
that
the Pownal school.
we
Otherwise,
discovered-
it goes back to the person.
I will, I'll look
that-
that, I'll look that deed up and read it.
I know it was a surprise for us a couple of years ago that we actually, it showed up on an inventory list for the insurance company. That's how the SU was aware that
We own the land.
you owned the land, yeah.
Oh. I know, because if we can get rid of it, that's gonna save us money.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they use it all the time. And I know what he's trying to do, is
Well-
he's trying to come in, he
I
wants
don't
money to
think
No,
fix it
the
up.
town maintains it, correct?
The town does
And the
mow
league
lawn.
maintains it too.
And the
but-
league maintains it, yeah,
maintains it,
I'm pretty sure, 'cause I've been contacted
I know there
by
was
the
some
league
concern
before,
about what
asking for
liability
permission
would be
to
if
fix
somebody
the
was
fence,
hurt there and
but
we
we
still
don't
own the
do it.
land, yeah.
I know,
Even though we're not using it, yeah.
yeah. No, the town has been very gracious as far as mowing it for us, because they do it for the children. They mow the one down at the racetrack also. That's used for the Little League. So, that's just food for thought, because he will come in and ask. But I personally don't want to put any money into that piece of land.
Give it to 'em.
But if we can.
Just
I'm
make sure you
gonna,
can.
making a
Yeah.
note for the finance department to look into what it would be to do a title search on that
Oh,
piece of
okay.
land, yeah.
All right, thank you.
Speaking of newspaper articles, and I missed this, but when you said newspaper article, Pownal, again, this is our second year, we're doing the trout in the classroom, and Mike Carano heads up that project. Afterwards, if we want to take a look at the trout, and the kids go on a field trip, they release the trout into the stream. It's a
Really? How
fifth
cool
grade
is that?
project. and
That's so cool.
That was in the
Oh.
paper, I think, last weekend, front page.
So,
Yeah.
Oh,
Really great project for the kids.
yeah. The other thing, I did a wedding the other day, and there was a sixth grade that attends this school. And I said to her, talk to your friends, and every year I like to ask the sixth graders, what is it we could do differently? Any ideas? Because I'm thinking, if they come up with some, I told them to write them down and give them to Linda, secretary, or to you, and that the board would look at them.
Good.
Most of the time, they don't come up with anything, but one of these years they might.
You want a swimming pool out back or not?
I
Well,
want that.
actually, don't
And
laugh.
fix
You're
the
right.
tennis.
Somebody-
That's what I want, a swimming pool next to the tennis courts out there.
Yes, so that's one of the things that I wanted, and they just said, can we really? I said, yes. Any ideas, talk to your friends and make a list of them. All right, so enclosed is the budget status report, the SVSU student enrollment, and the RHR Smith audit and management letter. Is there any other business to come
he
before
will
the
come
board?
to I think he's scheduled to come to your May meeting,
May
give a
meeting.
presentation, but the audit was done, so we included it as an FYI, so you have it in advance.
Good, thank you, we appreciate that. Is there any other business to come before the board?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, thank you very much. We'll get our super. All in favor? Okay, I guess. All right, we'll give that to our superintendent.